Hello, and welcome everyone to week 13 of the No BS Homebuyers Live series. And I'm sorry, it's week 14. So we are going to be talking about your pre-approved. Now, what do you do? So this is a point where a lot of buyers get stuck, not because they're not ready, but they just don't know what to do next. They've got their pre-approval in hand and they're just a little lost. So we will go over that today. And don't forget that this whole buyer series is to break down the home buying process into a simple, no BS way, no BS steps to go from thinking about buying to actually buying a home and owning a home. So let's turn this pre-approval into actual progress for you home buyers out there. So let's talk a little bit more about let's get in the moment. You've got this pre-approval, you sent in all your paperwork, and this is a huge step and it's worth celebrating, but it is not the finish line. It's actually the starting line. So a pre-approval doesn't just mean you can go buy anything now. It's actually a guide for you. It gives you a strategy and a range to work within. And just because you get pre-approved for something doesn't necessarily mean that is a target goal. In fact, I would encourage you to go less than your pre-approval because typically you're getting pre-approved for more than you're actually going to be comfortable spending. So let's walk through exactly what you should be doing once you have that pre-approval in hand. The first one is understanding your numbers, not just your maximum, because again, your pre-approval is probably going to be for your max unless you specifically asked for something less. It shows you what you can spend, but it doesn't necessarily show you what you should spend. What you should spend is something that you need to determine and think about beforehand. So think about what is your monthly comfort range and does your pre-approval amount reflect that? With your pre-approval, you should have gotten a cost breakdown sheet. If you didn't, I hope you watched last week's video. That's a pretty big red flag of maybe, trying to shop around because you really should know what that number is going to be. And again, if you're getting a range for a pre-approval, like, hey, you're somewhere between 300 and 325. And, you look at the 325 numbers and you're like, ooh, that monthly payment is not for me. I'm not comfortable with that. Then you aren't really truly pre-approved for that in your head. So don't push that back, push that to the max. Additionally, you want to look at how much cash you need to close because the higher the purchase price, the more cash to close you're likely going to need. And then what fits your lifestyle? Just because you're pre-approved for 325, maybe the houses don't exactly fit with what you're going for. Like, okay, you might not get a 2-stall garage, you might just get a 1-stall garage, but maybe that's all you really need and you don't want to up your payment just to have an empty garage space or a garage space that you're just going to end up filling with stuff. So you really got to look and calculate the numbers, what you're actually comfortable with, what you're actually going to need to bring to close and how that fits into your lifestyle. So understand your numbers because we're building a life. We're not trying to max out a budget and become house poor. Next, I would say it is very beneficial to just define your must-haves and your nice-to-haves before you actually start looking at homes. Get clear on what actually matters. So like we said before, if you only need a 1-stall garage and you're bumping up your price to go to a 2, then just make a requirement just a 1-stall. And if you get lucky and something comes in your price range that you're comfortable with a 2-stall, congratulations, you get a bonus. But things you really want to define are location, bedrooms, the layout, any kind of major deal breakers, like what kind of work you're willing to do. And this should all be nice and easy to remember. And quite frankly, when you're working with your realtor, you should be able to share this quite easily with them. And I actually created a desire worksheet. So this is what I have my clients fill out so that way they can kind of understand what they're looking for. And then I can set them up on a search. Big thing to put would be notes like, do you have a dog that requires it to have a fenced in yard? And if the house doesn't have a fenced in yard, how much of a budget are you willing to spend on it? What kind of renovations are you willing to do? Cosmetic renovations, structural renovations, Those are all really important things to know. And it helps to tell your realtor kind of what your lifestyle is, so that way they can help you to eliminate or add options to the list. So if you want a copy of that, just let me know and I will gladly get you a copy, and they are great to share with your realtor. But by defining your must-haves and your nice-to-haves is kind of, it's something that just helps bring you clarity to save you time and prevents emotional last-minute decisions. Because, if you don't need to expand that budget, don't. Just look at the checklist of things that you must have, and if it's nice to have and it's not on there, so be it. Maybe you can add it to your house later, but just really having an idea of what you really need to have and being realistic about that will help you. The next step would to be set up a smart home search. This is where it gets really fun, but also really easily distracting. Avoid Zillow rabbit holes, like setting yourself up on a bazillion different searches. You are going to be looking at what's coming on the market pretty much every day. You're probably going to be looking more often than your realtor because you are excited about it, and that's okay. But please don't start going down this rabbit hole of, okay, if my budget's $325, I'm going to look at $350 or $375. Maybe they'll come down. Don't get into that. Stick within your actual budget. Get a focused search strategy going. Honestly, I would recommend just having the realtor set you up on a search through them, because they're going to see what's coming through to you and you're going to see what's coming through to you. And if some things are just like not quite matching, talk to them. They can adjust the search. Or if you're not seeing something, maybe there's something within the search that they need to eliminate, so that way you are seeing more. But again, you're going to be looking on Zillow or homes.com. I know you will be, and that's totally okay, but don't get into just a constant rabbit hole and have 30,000 searches and all of this. But do keep your finger on the market, kind of see what's happening. If you saw a house that you kind of like, see how long it stayed on the market, what it ended up selling for. Your realtor can pull these numbers for you, so you kind of have an idea. And if they're working consistently, they should have an idea of what's going on. So just really rely on your realtor for this. This is a really great situation to have them help you. So setting up that smart search, so you're looking at things that actually match what you're trying to buy, because you're not just browsing, you should be learning the market as well. And then you should be building your team if you haven't already. Obviously, I have already mentioned your realtor a bazillion times in this episode, but you already have your lender. So now you really need to make sure, if you don't have your agent, which honestly I think should be the first step in buying a home, you need to find one. And if you need help finding one, I will gladly get on a call with you, kind of learn what your goals are, and then connect you and set you up with a realtor that will match you and your personality well. Because the right agent is going to help you with so many of these steps and all of the things after this. And you need their experience so you can move quickly, write strong offers, and avoid common mistakes, which we will continue to go over in the weeks to come. However, every situation is different, and you really need a good realtor on your side. So let me know if you need the hookup. And then the last step to kind of move forward would be being ready to act. So when that right home shows up, timing really does matter. Things may be sitting on the market for 30 or 40 days, and then all of a sudden they go for multiple offers. I don't know what it is, but it's like the fear of missing out, and that happens all the time. You may have a stagnant house, and then all of a sudden 3 people want to buy it, and it becomes a competition. So timing really does matter. If you see the house that you love and you're like, wow, this one is really speaking to me, act on it, because it might not be there tomorrow. And by also being ready to act, you need to make sure you have your documents ready. You've already sent them in to get your pre-approval, but you're going to need to update them and resend them once you actually are under contract. Make sure your schedule is flexible. You may not always get the best showing time, so you kind of have to be able to get there as soon as you can. If your work is really strict on that, maybe just let them know ahead of time, like, hey, I'm house hunting. Something may be coming up. If it's moving quick, like I might need to step out and take my lunch break at this time, and try to get that pre-approval from your work. to make sure that you can do that. And then again, having your checklist of what you need and want and would like is really nice. So that way you can help make your decision with confidence, because you don't always get a night to sleep on it. So just really being ready to act when that house comes, because you never know if it's going to go quickly. And again, even if things are sitting on the market, you may end up in a multiple offer situation. It happens like 9 out of 10 times. I don't know. It's crazy. You're always like, really, did another offer come in? But just knowing that preparation will equal opportunity, and being ready will really help you in those situations. So let's talk about some common mistakes that happen after getting a pre-approval. These are a few things that I see pretty often, and we've kind of touched on something. One, probably the most common, is looking at homes way over your budget. Now, if the market is slow and things are going for under ask, there can be some benefit to looking above your budget. However, don't bank on that. And looking consistently out of your budget and out of your range is only going to make you more disappointed later. So really, again, if your pre-approval is for your highest amount, that really shouldn't be your goal. Find your comfort number and make that your goal and less. Because, hey, if you can save some money and still achieve all of your goals, congratulations, you're doing great. But let's not look at homes way over our budget. And then another big mistake I see is making big financial changes. So that would be getting a new car, switching jobs, taking out different lines of credit. These can all and will affect your pre-approval. The one that is kind of questionable is job switching. It can be beneficial to obviously switch careers. If you are staying within the same career and keep your consistent history, you should be okay. But again, always run things by a lender. And if you're running into a program where you can't make over X amount, well, maybe that raise needs to wait until you close on your house, or maybe you need to switch jobs until after you close when you're going to get a big bump in pay. All of these financial changes can affect your pre-approval. So always run them by the lender, and please don't start taking out a bunch of lines of credit, because that's going to really affect your financeability. And then another issue that I actually see is waiting too long to start looking once you have your pre-approval. Now, I do always encourage people to get pre-approved even before they're ready. But if you, and that's just so you can understand your financial picture ahead of time and know what you need to work on. However, if you know you're ready, you've got your pre-approval, and then you know, like life gets really busy and you take 3 months, well, your pre-approval is now expired and you'll have to kind of re-go through the process again. So if you are ready to go and you've got that pre-approval, start looking. It doesn't hurt. You might not find something right away. You might not find it within that 3 months, and that's totally okay. But start looking, because once you see a couple houses, you really get to determine what you do and don't like. And you maybe learn that not everything looks like the photos. So you don't want to just be shopping online. I want you to get out there, physically see things, and really get a feel for what you are looking forward to. And then not understanding the market pace. So this kind of goes like with waiting too long. If the market is moving really, really fast, you might not have a lot of time to get in there, get an offer, and get it under contract. And again, your agent should be able to kind of give you a gauge of how quickly you need to be going for things, because there may be things not moving at all, and then in a different price range, they're moving like hotcakes. So you really just have to kind of understand how the market is going. And if you're in a competitive situation, you got to understand kind of the contract and what you are asking for and what you are really asking for when you are putting that together. So just kind of understanding the market and what they're seeing. So again, rely on your realtor for that. So now that you are pre-approved, you just need to protect that approval, do the things you need to do to continue on your path to home ownership. And it is the stage once you have that pre-approval in hand where it really starts to feel real. Most realtors are not going to show you a house without it, because things come up and there might be something that you need to work on before you officially get that pre-approval. So once you have it, you should be able to go look at houses, and you're going to feel excited and you might feel a little bit overwhelmed. because you've been looking at all your finances, which you probably don't do too often. And now you're making this big decision to buy a house, and it can be a lot, and that's totally normal. But you don't have to have everything figured out. You just need a plan, and you need the right people to give you the right guidance, and they can handhold you the whole way there, and you will get there. But if you have any questions or would like, again, to get this first-time home desires worksheet, let me know. So that way I can send that to you and you can give that to your realtor. And if you don't have a realtor, again, let me hook you up. I will gladly connect you with someone that can help you and that vibes well with you. But next week, we're going to dive into another step and we're going to keep moving forward on this process of buying a home with more clarity and confidence. So that way, when you are there, you feel good and are happy and educated homeowners. So thank you for joining me for the No BS Homebuyer Live series, where we're breaking down the whole step into simple, no BS steps. So that way you can go from thinking to actually buying and owning. If you have any questions, please just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next week. And we are going to be moving into more of the actual in the weeds of buying, not so much of the pre-prep stuff. So thank you again for joining me. And until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.